So this video is about the expression feature on the Grand Classic, which I think is its killer feature. Not the amazing cascaded gain, not the custom active EQs, not the studio grade post EQs, the amazing modes. All this is great and genuine, I think, I'm pushing this forward. It is the expression jack on the side here, you can see. Now, although I'm going to do a deep dive into this, I'm going to do a quick one first and just quickly show you what it's about, so those of you with less time in your day just want to get on with it, don't need to watch the rest. On the side is an absolutely standard expression jack. TRS, you can plug in any expression pedal that you've got lying around that supports that, instantly go and use the low pass filter. What is a low pass filter? Sounds like a wah, but it's much more sci-fi and it's very commonly used by synthesizer guys. In fact, the filter in this is based roughly around the Korg MS-20. So if you look up Korg MS-20 LPF on YouTube, you'll find some sounds that will be in the ballpark. Now that's all very well, but surely that's not the killer feature. No, it's not. The killer feature is just like the Quad Screamer. You can grab the base of our unit and unscrew it, take it out. Where the Quad Screamer you could pull out the op amp and swap it, this has a whole daughterboard. That's a circuit board you can pull out, and the low pass filter circuitry is all on this board. The pedal doesn't rely on this board, it needs a jumper. If you take it out, I need a little jumper, we'll be able to sort something out about to use it without it. But the really cool thing is we are going to be releasing a whole range of these boards so you can have different expression, you can customize your expression features, and all of our trapezoidal pedals going forward will have a standardized connector so you can swap, mix and match any board with any pedal in our range, and you'll be able to get all sorts of really cool bonus features in your pedals. So whichever one you want, be able to use any of the boards. How cool is that? That is the killer feature. Expression for all. And of course, I say, you backers, you're getting everything you see here. And that's our initial launch model. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have all sorts in these, all sorts of really cool man effects. Right, on to the deep dive. First of all, how did it come about? Well, my love of expression. Where would we be without the wah? You know, it's ubiquitous. I can hear the scrap man outside, he's in my ear, and he's going to take all types of scrap metal for free because he's just such a great guy. Now, the wah, ubiquitous, of course. There have been some other really cool pedals over time, and I've loved those. I've got, did I leave it out somewhere? This is one of my favourite. You'll all know one of these. It's a whammy pedal. I particularly like this one for reasons I'll go into later. But yeah, picture one pedal, and so I really wanted to put something in this pedal, and that was how it began. And I thought I'd just be able to jam it on the circuit board, no problem. However, when I started designing some of the extra cool stuff in the pedal, the things I've mentioned, the EQs, the cascaded gain, I quickly ran out of space. This pedal is far more complicated than a typical distortion. You know, sort of tube screamers and such have about 2 op amp stages. So we just use this as a number. Doesn't matter what that. So it's got 2. Quad screamer's got 4. Wampler triple record's got 6. This has 12 before you plug that daughterboard in. When you plug that daughterboard in, we're up to 16. So there was no way I could fit all that in. I mean, it's like using the Wampler. It's bigger than mine, and it had half the amount of op amps. So I started using smaller components, and I often say limitation drives innovation. Limitation drives innovation. Bam! End of story. And of course it did, and I looked at other things. I thought, well, why can't I use 2 boards? I want to use 2 boards. You know? And then I thought, well, make it detachable. You know? And out of the limits I was bumping into, I think I created something very, very cool. So yeah, a love of expression, and bumping into the limitations, come up with this wonderful idea. So it's in every pedal going forward now that I do in this range, and it will all be interchangeable. I absolutely promise that. Why are there so few expression options out there? I mean, we've had one or two over the years. Like we've had a couple like off Morley, made flanges and chorus bars and some odd things, but generally we've pretty much shorted. And it really boils down to the fact that designers are not musicians. It's very rare. You can always see when you've got a musician involved. Because like with this, where they have created settings that all make sense. They're musical settings. Would you like to go, between octave and fourth, between fourth and third, fourth and fifth? I mean, they're all numbers you go, oh yeah, musically, that makes sense. Fourths, fifths, sixths, whatever, they're all the right numbers. But most of the time, the designers haven't got a flipping clue what we're really about, and the bosses overseeing them aren't listening anyway, and they're all just creating crap, frankly, in the hope we'll buy it. So either you get a multi-effects where you get this incredible disappointment of finding you can only assign the wah pedal to like 4 parameters or something, and none of them are anything fun, or you get the opposite where you can literally just assign it to everything in the unit, which isn't helpful because most of those settings aren't any point. Who wants to have wah control over your treble frequency? I don't. That's a waste of board space. I want something specific. I want a pedal that's built around expression, like a wah is built for expression. A wah is its own thing. You don't have a wah control on the front of your amp. You don't have a wah control on anything. It's its own thing. So they either give us too little or they give us too much. And it's back to that limitation thing again. If I took you into a guitar shop and gave you 1 million pedals and a day to pick one, the reality is you're probably going to come out with something fairly random and not be any good at using it. Whereas if I just gave you a pedal, sent you away for a week and told you to come back with the best settings you could, you'd probably come out with something amazing. We need limits to push against. So yeah, that's it. It doesn't exist because designers, not musicians, don't know what we want. Then off the back of this comes another issue. So they make these very expensive things for us with 1 million settings, let's say, and we buy them and we end up getting frustrated with them because, like I say, they don't actually do what we want. They've got 1 million settings, none of them are any use. We end up using guess what? We use the rectifier simulation with a DOD 250 pedal stuffed in front of it. We've got a ridiculously expensive modeler with a stupidly simple setup we could have done anyway. And so we end up with another issue where they think we're cheap and backwards and they don't know how to sell us stuff and they don't know what they're making for us, and it's insulting, frankly. So they end up playing on hero admiration to sell us old circuits. It's like, let's sell you another same old rat pedal in a box with no innovation. They're not adding extra parts to it. They're not really making big changes. One little resistor here or something, we'll call that completely different and sell it, you guys, because obviously all we know is to be a hero worshipper who wants to sound exactly like this guy, and we want to pay 10 times the amount of money for something that's junk. And that's what they're doing. They assume we're backwards, they assume we're cheap, and we just assume we're stupid and tight. And I don't believe that is true even slightly, not for one second. I don't think any of you guys are that. Not one player I've ever met is that. We deserve better. All of us. Every last one of us deserves better. So this is my gamble. This is what I've chosen to do. I'm making something that's far more complicated. There's 2 op amps in a tube screamer, 4 op amps in a quad screamer, twice as complicated. A Wampler triple has 6 op amps. This thing has 12. 12. Without the daughterboard adds 4, so 16. And that level of complexity costs money and creates innovation and features, and that's the gambler. Are you willing to pay a bit more for something that is infinitely more complex, better, powerful, and does new stuff? And that's my chance. That's what I'm taking. So that's my thoughts on all of this. Hopefully you will see what I'm trying to do here. Hopefully you will back this. Hopefully you will purchase it if it's after the backing period. And I will continue, for as long as you guys do that, to create these wonderful little daughterboards, these different pedals that accept them, and do all sorts of really clever stuff. One thing I haven't mentioned, talking about clever, the expression jack also supports something called CV voltage, 5 volt CV, standard synthesizer voltage, as well as normal. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to think about it, just plug your TRS expression in. But if you want to use a CV voltage, you can do, and that means you can control this off oscillators that will make it work like a flanger or phaser a chorus, it'll go up and down at the rate you want by applying a voltage. And we're going to make an add-on pedal that does that for you, of course. Of course we are. Because we love you guys. We want to make all the pedals in the world. And that's going to create some really cool soundscaping possibilities. So yeah, there we are. That's my deep dive. And I hope you appreciate what I'm trying to do. Yeah, giving it my best.